Hey guys, so it's Friday, which means for the last few weeks it's been our one-to-one time, and I still feel it's a bit cringe calling it one-to-one time, but I don't really know what else to call it. I guess it's kind of like a vlog, but basically it's my chance to, without having a particular plan, because our other videos are really planned ahead and I know the exact points I want to talk about, this is my chance to really open up and talk about my own experiences of learning to trade, then becoming a trader, and just in general, like what I've learned and the hard lessons, the bad things that have happened, the good things that have happened. So hopefully you can learn from my experiences as well. So I think with the other lessons, obviously you learn a lot, but you don't get this sort of personal touch that sometimes you need to understand. It gives you some reassurance. So as you can see, I'm in a different location today. I've actually had meetings today, and there's a big window on that side. We're at in the area of Monument in London. So there's a big window there. It's a busy road, and people are walking past, look at me like a weirdo, because obviously in this room, everyone's cleared out for lunch, and I'm just standing facing a wall doing a bloody vlog, one-to-one time thing. But anyway, I didn't want to miss it because I've really enjoyed the last 2 weeks and the comments that you've been giving. So please do leave comments. Let me know what you want to hear more about. Let me know your own experiences. Anyway, today I'm going to stop rambling on. Today I want to talk about the main thing that I figured out that really set off my trading. And it's not something complex or anything like that. It was just something that triggered something in me that changed the way I looked at things and changed the way I approached things. So earlier this week, I spoke about different phases that traders go through. I think it was actually the video that went out yesterday. There's the phases that traders go through. And I think to a certain extent, like my phases were slightly different, and some of you can relate to this. Like if you're working in a career that you really enjoy and that you think is going to be your long-term future, and trading is more like something that's just interesting to you, your phases are going to be very different to someone that wants to do it for a living, or someone that wants to make a lot of money from it as a part-time thing, or they have a particular reason they want to be doing trading. So for me, my career was always intended to be in finance, in banking. And trading for me, it was just because I found the markets interesting. So if I think back, like I first started learning about trading, I was first exposed to trading probably about 20 years ago. First started learning close to about 15 years ago, maybe just less than that. Started trading probably about 10 years ago-ish. And then the first few years were a bit hit and miss, some profitable months, some non-profitable months, not consistent by any means, and then been trading profitably from that point onwards. So when I first started off, like when I was first learning, what I was really learning about was how to build a portfolio. I didn't care about trading. I didn't even know about day trading particularly. I probably heard of it, but I didn't really know what it was. I was caring about building portfolios, mainly out of blue chip stock and that kind of thing. So as you can tell, like if that's your focus, you're kind of doing it with not your retirement in mind, but the long term in mind. So you're doing it as a part-time thing just to put your money into something. But it's not like I was saving up money and trying to invest it and make it grow because of that. It was more just I found it really interesting. Like I just found it fascinating that you could buy and sell companies. I don't know, just something triggered in me that I found really interesting about that. So it kind of changed from a hobby to like something more serious at a point when I had some profit on a particular company I was holding, and then I lost it all very quickly and lost like quite a lot of the value. I can't remember what happened, but the company lost some value at that point. And I looked at the money I'd lost and I was like, if I lost money that quickly, surely I can also make money from it that quickly. And it was then that sort of the light bulb went off, and it was like, okay, maybe you don't approach this like such a hobby, like it doesn't matter, because now you've lost real money. You need to approach this in the same way that you would approach a career. So from that point onwards, I was like learning even more intensely, and I was trying to like organize myself with Excel spreadsheets and different things that I was doing, like really trying to organize myself. I was also, like I've mentioned in the last video of this one-to-one series, talking to a lot of my friends about what I was doing and like really becoming like the go-to investment expert, even though I knew very little. That's all I'd talk about with people. Sorry, I got distracted because there's someone in the background. Anyway, so basically like I went through this stage then where it transitioned from being a hobby to being like a part-time career. So I'd basically get home, and that whole evening then I'd have certain work hours that I'd be really focusing on stuff. And that works quite well. I started to get really consistent. But then it gets to the point where that as well is like, your mentality is different if you're approaching it like a career. And what I realized was the real transition was when I started approaching it like I'm a one-man company. So if you think, for example, like when you're trading or even when you're investing, the different categories of things that you go through, you've got your fundamental research, you've got your technical analysis, your risk management, you've got your tracking, your back office type thing. You've got then sort of analyzing what's happened. Like there's so many different factors that really, if it's a career, then you're not really going to give it the amount of effort it needs. There's I'd say, this lack of accountability. Whereas when I started seeing it as a company, I gave like every single section of what I was doing, there was more accountability in what I was doing. Like it really meant something more for me. And it meant also I had to track things properly. Like in my mind, imagine that these are different individual departments that I'm focusing on. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up in this sort of session is because we've been talking about innovation for the last week, and we're going to be next week as well. And this is where it all started for me, is because I then started looking at how I improve each of these areas and how in my mind, like maybe I'm just crazy, but in my mind I imagine these different departments communicating with each other. And later that progressed to actually how at PURI AG, then we started to prepare like the teams for building a portfolio. Like I came up with what I thought was a very creative plan of how you choose what goes into the portfolio. It was this transition from what I was doing with my trading to then transition to there were actually real teams. But it's the mindset shift that this gave me. I took everything more seriously. This is how I could then transition to actually becoming a full-time trader, because in my mind, I was already a company. Like the thing that a lot of people don't get, I think a lot of people approach their trading thinking they're taking it seriously, thinking they're doing it like a career and like they can actually turn full-time from this, but they're actually treating it like a hobby and they don't even realize. I see it all the time where people are commenting saying like, oh, it's too much, how can I do all of these things? But if you imagine it as you're a one-man company, because essentially, or one-woman company, whichever you are, like essentially like you in the market are doing the same thing as a company is. If there's a company trading, they're doing the same as what you are as an individual. Now they'll have departments, you don't, but you have to treat it the same way. And this really changed everything for me, like I'm saying. I know I'm going over the same things again and again here, but I know that some of you are going to be going through what I went through at the start, which is you think that you're taking something seriously because you're putting all this work learning, but what you're actually doing is treating it like either a hobby or like a career, not even a career, just like a job. But all you need to see is like, imagine it's a company that needs to grow and you need to have functions because the functions need to improve. There needs to be efficiency in the functions. Like this is what really changed things for me. I know this is not so personal or insightful as maybe some of the other videos I've done where I was talking about different amounts of money I've made and stuff, but like if you really reflect on what I'm saying and think about it, and the more I reflect on like the phases I went through and think about really what the changing point was, the tipping point for me, then I hope you really pick up on the value in what I'm telling you here. Like treating it like a one-man company or a one-woman company, that's really going to be the difference maker. Whatever you think that you're doing now and whatever you think, like however serious you think you're taking it, imagine that it's spread out across the team and then look at what's actually going on there and think like, is this really good enough? If you think about the markets being a zero-sum game, but there's some winners and there's some losers, if you're going up against companies and you're not taking it seriously enough, like there's something I read the other day and you might have even seen it in one of our social media posts, but there's a big difference between like making a decision that's right and a decision that's reasonable. Right? I think that's not the right way to explain it. A decision that ends up being correct and a decision that's reasonable, right? I can flip a coin and I could choose heads or tails. And if it becomes tails, then I'm correct. That's a decision that was correct. But if I'm betting money on that, it doesn't mean that decision was reasonable, right? There's a difference. You can have a decision that's reasonable being right or wrong, but if you have a decision that's unreasonable, even if you're right, in the long term, you're ultimately going to be wrong because you're putting too much luck into it. So basically what I'm saying by that is that there's a lot of people now who are maybe making money from their trading and things are cruising along quite fine, and I think they're taking it seriously enough and they're doing enough, but let me tell you from experience now of seeing things that have gone right and gone wrong, it's not enough, and you need to get see past these short-term things that you're seeing, these short-term results, this short-term focus, and think long-term what's really going to make you successful. And I think it's this switch to thinking of yourself as a company and doing everything as if it's a company-wide decision, different departments for the different things you have to focus on. Anyway, I think you get the point. Look, I'm going to leave it there for now because I know that I'm rambling, but I really hope you pick up on that key point. I know that I've really elaborated on it probably a bit more than you needed, but I really wanted to get that across as an important one. So I hope you have a fantastic weekend. If you've got any comments, leave them below. If you want to hear me rambling again about a different topic, then let me know what topic you want me to talk about. Leave a thumbs up for me being dedicated enough to clear everyone out of a meeting room and film in here. And hey, I'll see you next time.